Hi guys, welcome to Novel Nomad. I'm Kate and I'm going to be sharing with you today some of the new releases that are coming out this year that are getting me really excited. So I won't do any that are coming out in January because let's face it, I've probably already bought most of them and they'll be coming up in a haul. So I'll start with February. So on February 1st, Be Frank With Me by Julia Klebon Johnson is going to be released by Allen and Unwin. So this is a book of a girl, Alice, who is hired by a struggling author, very reclusive author, Mimi, who's trying to finish out her second book for her contract. And Alice is hired to look after her rather irritating yet witty son, Frank. Now Frank loves Frank Sinatra, so he dresses up as Frank Sinatra, has the wit of Noel Coward, and is otherwise creates lots of different antics. So it sounds like a hilarious read and something I'm really looking forward to. Also coming out on the 1st is My Sister Rosa by Justine Libellester. Hopefully I pronounced that right. But it is a bit of a psychological thriller. It's a young adult where a boy is very worried about his sister Rosa, and he knows that she can probably do some very dangerous and dark things, but he can't really prove it to anyone. So he makes an effort to prevent her from doing anything disastrous when they move to a new place. It sounds absolutely terrifying. Coming out on the 2nd of February is King's Rising by C.S. Pacat. Now it is the third in a series, but the first one is called Captive Prince by C.S. Pacat. I did meet her at Supernova recently and she was absolutely wonderful. She's a Melbourne-based author, and this is about, I think I explained it before, but it's about a prince who becomes a slave to another prince, but he becomes a pleasure slave, and then they both in a way work together to help the current prince gain control. Now I'm not quite sure with the next one, but it is coming out on the 4th of February, but I believe that is the UK release date. I think the Australian release date is in March, but the book is Rebel of the Sands by Alwyn Hamilton. Basically it sounds a bit gunslinger, in the desert, gin, magic, everything's really fun happening in this one. I think it's a young adult as well, so it just looks amazing and the cover is absolutely stunning. Moving on to March, we have a great book called Frankie by Siobhan Plaza coming out. I entirely blame Penguin Teen Australia, who are the publishers for this one, because I didn't know about it, but they've been promoting it very well. It sounds like a great story of a really hard, kick-ass girl who just is trying to work out her place in life, and a little boy turns up who claims to be her little brother, but then he goes missing, so she's suddenly concerned about him, and it kind of draws her into her own past and things that she didn't want revealed and things that she probably never wanted to discover anyway. Coming out on the 24th from Bloomsbury is going to be such an amazing book. It's going to be Winner's Kiss by Marie Rukowski. It is the third book in an amazing series, the first being The Winner's Curse, and I read this in a day. I was supposed to be doing uni work anyway, but it was so good. It's so politically minded, it's amazing. Basically the basic premise that I can get you started with is that Kestrel, who's a fairly wealthy girl, her father is a general, he's pressuring her into either choose the military or be married, and she doesn't want either of those. She loves music, she wishes to study music if at all possible, but it's not open road to her. So for some reason she finds herself at a slave market, and now the general is actually occupying a colonial town as such, and the slaves are the native inhabitants of the area, the original empire who used to rule there, that were taken over. And she ends up buying this slave, this boy, only on the basis that he has a wonderful singing voice, and it just goes from there. It's so amazing. I cannot recommend this more, so definitely pick this up if you like YA, political intrigue, a bit of romance, but the political side is absolutely fascinating. April will see a great release for me. I'm so excited. On the 12th, Tall Books will be releasing Strangely Beautiful. Now this is a bind-up of the first two books from the Strangely Beautiful series by Leanna Renee Hyber, and the first one is A Strangely Beautiful Tale of Miss Percy Parker. I have read that one before. I didn't get to the second one, but the first one was really good. It's set in Victorian England, and the main character, Perseverone Parker, or Percy Parker, has a very close connection with some Greek myths that are coming very much back into the forefold and creating a lot of destruction and chaos as they bring back the mythology very much in to the Victorian world. Next, coming out in April, I don't have a specific date for it yet, but it's going to be Aurelia by Lynette Noni. It is the second in a series to Arcane, which is an amazing book. Basically, a girl is transferred to a new school. She's dreading the experience, but she ends up walking through a doorway and going to Medora, which is where they get to study magic and find out their inner powers. So we're basically talking X-Men cross Harry Potter, which is perfect. May is going to see Vintage release another series. They have recently done the Jane Austen one and the Brontes, which are absolutely stunning, but the one I am very much looking forward to is the Birds and the Bees series. This series will contain books such as H is for Hawk by Helen MacDonald, A Sting in the Tail by Dave Goulson, and Crow Country by Mark Cocker. During the second, I will anxiously be awaiting for my copy of The Wheel of Ossian by Mark Lawrence. Now, this is the third and final, I think, book in the Red Queen series by Mark Lawrence. I haven't read his first series. It seemed really dark and gritty to me, but this one, still dark fantasy, is absolutely hilarious. This is the first one, which is The Prince of Fools. I absolutely loved it because it's combining dark fantasy humour, a cowardly main character who is absolutely hilarious because you hear everything from his head. And you also have some awesome kick-ass Vikings thrown into boot, so it's a great combination. I'm not sure if they're coming out this year, but I'm going to put it on here anyway. It's going to be the next Cormoran Strike novel by Robert Galbraith, the first one being Cuckoos Calling. Now, Robert Galbraith is a pseudonym for J.K. Rowling, but it's an amazing book anyway. It got praise before it even came out as her name. But it's basically set in London. He's a ex-military struggling PI in this book, and he is going in from personal crisis to business crisis as well, not until Robin shows up and a fairly famous model is murdered. So it's a very good read and I highly recommend it, and I've read all the books in the series so far, and the fourth one is definitely on a must-read list. I know she's writing it. I'm following her on Twitter, and it'll be the third installment to the series. It's Shield by Rachel Craw, the first one being Spark. It is an absolutely amazing cover, starting off right there. It's absolutely beautiful, this cover. The second one, Stray, is also stunning. So not only am I looking forward to the cover reveal, but the actual story itself is amazing. This follows the story of Evie, who's grieving for the recent loss of her mother, but she doesn't have long to grieve because she finds out that she's actually the result of a genetic modification, and so she is bound by her DNA to become a shield to protect her friend against whatever threats, and it will be a fight to the death. She has to either live or die in this fight. So it's freaking amazing. Alright guys, thanks for joining me. Tell me down below if you're looking forward to reading any of these books as well, or if you have books to recommend me that are coming out this year, a series that I have to get to for this year. Alright, we'll see you next time. Bye!